So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 7, entitled The Killing of the Demon Trinavarta, text number 17. It's a short one, so if you don't have the board, you can see it. Do you have the board? You can try to repeat. Vitra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Na kanishvala bhavishyanti Na kadachit api skutam Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Tanishpara Nakadachit api skutam Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Tanishpara bhavishanti Nakadachit api skutam
Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Tanishpara bhavishanti Nakadachit api skutam
Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Tanishvara bhavishanti Nakadachit api skutam Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Nakadachit api skutam
Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Navishvara bhavishanti Nakadachit api skutam
Vipra mantra vidoyuktas Taya proktas tata shisha Tanishvara bhavishanti Nakadachit api skutam
Word for word translation. Vipraha, Brahmanas, Mantravidha, completely expert in chanting the Vedic hymns. Yuktaha, perfect mystic yogis. Sahi, by them. Yaha, whatsoever. Proktaha, was spoken. Tata, becomes just so. Ashishaha, all blessings. Taha, such words. Nishvaraha, useless, without fruit. Bhavishyanti, never will become. Kadachit, at any time. Api, indeed. Shkutam, always factual. As it is. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Brahmanas who were completely experts in chanting the Vedic hymns, were all yogis, fully equipped with mystic powers. Whatever blessings they spoke were certainly never fruitless. Purport. Brahmanas fully equipped with the Brahminical qualifications are always yogis, fully powerful in mystic yoga. Their words never fail. In every transaction with other members of society, Brahmanas are certainly dependable. In this age, however, one must take into account that the Brahmanas are uncertain in their qualifications. Because there are no yogic Brahmanas, all yagyas are forbidden. The only yagya recommended in this age is Sankirtan yagya. Yagya Sankirtanataya Yajantihi Sumedasa. Bhagavatam 11.5-32. Yagya is meant to satisfy Vishnu. Yagya tat karmano yatva lokuyam karma bandha. Because in this age there are no qualified Brahmanas, people should perform yagya by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Yagya Sankirtanataya Yajantihi Sumedasa. Life is meant for yagya, and yagya is performed by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Gyan Kunarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sahajitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kanakalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sahavadutam Sahijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Dagyapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Kamshakapa Tarubhyaksha Kripa Sindhu Jayavacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there's different points which Srila Prabhupada brings up in the purport, some of which we've already spoken about a few times, such as the qualification of Brahmanas and blessings of Brahmanas. So I focus more on the second part of the purport, which Srila Prabhupada explains that the only yagya recommended in this age is Sankirtan yagya. And so throughout the scriptures, throughout the Bhagavatam, there's so many references to the benefits of the Sankirtan yagya and why it's so important, what the values are, how it works. This chanting of the holy name is explained in so many ways that it cleans the heart, it removes, it burns to ashes the seed and the root of sinful desire. Yagyas, other yogic processes, karma, jnana, all these things, they sometimes remove the manifestations, they remove the desires, they remove the fruits, the expression of desires and the cultivation and attachment to desires. But it's explained in the Bhagavatam that the only process that actually destroys the root cause of all these things is the chanting of the holy name. It burns to ashes that seed of material desire. And in the 12th canto there's a very famous verse, Kale dosha Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vijit. Kale Dosha Niti Rajan. Kale means Kali, Dosha means fault, and so this verse means that this age of Kali, the current age that we're living in, is an ocean of bad qualities, an ocean of faults. But there is one good quality that makes it actually more desirable than all other ages. And that good quality of the age of Kali is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we can become freed from the material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom simply by this process. And in the purport to that famous verse, Srila Prabhupada explains, actually in the 12th canto, it's called The Age of Deterioration, the name of the canto. And part of it, Shukadeva Goswami explains, there's a whole chapter about the predictions for the age of Kali. And we can see that some of them have already happened, some of them are happening, and those who have not happened, we can understand that they are going to, even if they seem very extreme sometimes. But because half of them, or some of them have already happened, we know that that's the way it's going. Yes.
Can you speak a little bit more high?
More high. More slowly.
Yes, slowly. Yes. Because you are in French. You are French. And you need to speak it like this, you can understand me. Thank you.
Sorry, I got too excited. So in this 12th canto, there's this chapter explaining all the faults, all the degradations, all the bad things about Kali Yuga. But at the end, Shukadeva Goswami is now mentioning one supremely brilliant aspect about the age of Kali. And Prabhupada says that just as one powerful king can kill innumerable thieves, one brilliant spiritual quality can destroy all the contamination of this age. And he says in the end, it is impossible to overestimate the importance of chanting Hare Krishna. So it's very, very much present throughout the Bhagavatam, particularly at the particularly at the end, it's like Shukadeva Goswami is concluding, and even the last verse of Bhagavatam, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya, he says that this chanting the holy name, it destroys all the sinful desires, removes all bad qualities from the heart, and that is the means of achieving perfection. And again, we have another verse in the 11th canto. There's also the famous one that Srila Prabhupada actually quotes here. Krishna Varnam Krishna Krishna Sangopam Rasa Parshadam Yajya Sankirtanam Praya Yajanti Sumedata. That in this age of Kali, intelligent persons will perform the congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who has a golden complexion, who constantly glorifies and sings the name of Krishna, and we understand that is Lord Chaitanya. And in the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada explains that anywhere and everywhere, under any circumstances, people can chant this Hare Krishna mantra, and thus worshipping Lord Chaitanya, they perform the highest activity and they fulfill the highest religious purpose, which is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And Srila Prabhupada often talks about this point because the concept of yoga, the topic of yoga comes up a lot in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna mentions it as well. The topic of yoga means sacrifice, and there's many different understandings of the form sacrifice can take and the purpose of sacrifice. Many sacrifices are performed for some material benefit, some material aspiration, whether that's for this life or for the next life, or both. And so there's some, it's like a business transaction. We do the whole protocol properly, we make offerings, we make some vow or something for a while, and then we expect to gain something from that. But Srila Prabhupada explains again and again that yagya is actually another name for Vishnu, but yagya means to satisfy the Supreme Lord. That is the definition of yagya. Yagya means working for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so this is the conclusion that we understand as well, because we also perform yagya, sacrifice or sacrifices in different ways in our devotional practice. But it's important to always keep in mind that this is the goal. The goal is not to purify myself by this practice, or it's not to gain some kind of established position within the movement, or become a powerful leader in ISKCON, or all things like this. Even things that can seem somewhat spiritual. That's not the goal of yagya. Yagya is pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's another verse. There's so many wonderful verses on this topic because it's actually the main topic of our movement, basically chanting. Shrimvatam Savita Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantashtoya Bhadrani Vindunoti Surisatam. And the translation of that is that Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, as Paramatma, he is present in the heart of everyone, and he is the benefactor of the truthful devotee. And because of that, he cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, which the devotee is the one who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous, when properly heard and chanted. So Krishna, when we take pleasure in hearing the glories of Krishna, whether it's his holy name or topics about Krishna, discussion about Krishna, but there are some conditions. When we hear properly, when we chant properly, and when the devotee is truthful, then Krishna from within the heart will cleanse the heart, because he's pleased by that attitude. And in one class, when Srila Prabhupada was talking and speaking on this verse, he said that Krishna makes himself available so cheaply, especially in this age of Kali, but still we're reluctant to chant. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the ISKCON, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like Bhakta Avatar, he's teaching us through his example, and he expresses his lamentation, Ita Drishita Vakipa Bhagavan Mati, that although Krishna, you're so kind, you're so generous, that you're giving me this opportunity to this fallen soul, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no taste. I'm not inclined to chanting, I'm not inclined to making that effort. So Prabhupada says, this is our position, dog obstinacy. But if we do it, we will gain the highest thing. But so Prabhupada brings up this thing that even though Krishna makes it so easy, so attractive, still we are obstinate and we find it difficult to chant, we find it difficult to chant with feeling, chant with attention. And so here we can bring up the topic of yagya. So we were speaking about chanting, but now why is chanting called a yagya? That's an interesting aspect. Because yagya, like we said, means to act for Krishna's pleasure. That means if I'm acting for Krishna's pleasure, I'm not acting for my pleasure. That is not the motivation. The motivation is to please Krishna, because if we don't perform, like Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, if we don't do our sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu, even if we perform sacrifice, it will still bind us in material existence. And so that's why we hear Krishna Katha as well, and it's important that we discuss these topics so that we understand how this is the supreme goal of our life. Samsiddhi Haritoshanam, the ultimate conclusion of all duties, of all activities, is Hari Toshanam, to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And it's demonstrated in Bhagavatam that, particularly in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because that's the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya specifically, he's demonstrating throughout, or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is revealing how much Lord Chaitanya was pleased to see people chanting Hare Krishna. And it's like a practical demonstration. For example, through pastimes, so many times we see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya asks, induces people to chant, and when he sees them, he embraces them, he's crying tears, he's just so happy. Just because they're chanting, just because they're taking it. And if our aspiration is to please Lord Chaitanya, look how easy it is. And so, I was reading one section recently, in the Adi Lila, there's a chapter called Lord Chaitanya and Five Truths, and it's kind of describing the glories of Panchatattva and different aspects of their different roles. But then there's one section where it starts to explain their attitude and their feelings. So I just wanted to read a little stream of verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita just to inspire us of how easy it is to please them. And so this is from Adi Lila, chapter 7, starting from text 22. Sri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen, and in this way they distributed love of Godhead. In distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate, who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. Although the members of the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead, and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity, for this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. The flood of love of Godhead swelled in all directions, and thus young men, old men, women, children were all immersed in that inundation. The Krishna consciousness movement will inundate the entire world and drown everyone, whether one be a gentleman, a rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. When the five members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drowned in love of Godhead, and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entities completely destroyed, they all became exceedingly happy. The more the five members of the Panchatattva cause the rains of love of Godhead to fall, the more the inundation increases and spreads all over the world. And then another one which is interesting. The impersonalists, spirited workers, false magicians, blasphemers, non-devotees, lowest among the student community, are very expert in avoiding the Krishna consciousness movement, and therefore the inundation of Krishna consciousness cannot touch them. Seeing that the Mayavadis and others were fleeing, Lord Chaitanya thought, I wanted everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of Godhead, but some of them have escaped. Therefore I shall devise a trick to drown them also. And by accepting the sannyas order, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attracted the attention of all those who had evaded him, beginning with the magicians. Thus the students, infidels, spirited workers, critics, all came to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya excused them all, and they merged into the ocean of devotional service. For no one can escape the unique loving network of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I thought that was really wonderful. I read it several times and I read it because it's like, wow. And you communicate how exciting it is to be part of the Krishna consciousness movement, how much we should desire to be in this inundation, spread the inundation, relish actually be part of it, not watching it from the side, but jumping in, because Lord Chaitanya wants everyone to be flooded, not everyone to see the flood, to contemplate the flood, but everyone to just be drowned in it. So, very exciting idea. But again, coming back to this point that despite all of this, still we find it difficult. So I want to talk about a bit why it's yajna, why we call it yajna, not recreation, not just easy process. And Uttaham Mishra Dharya, the Guru Swami explains in the Nectar of Devotion that one essential quality to practice devotional service is enthusiasm. And I looked up the etymology of enthusiasm, and it comes from the Greek enthusiasmos, and it actually theos, and it actually means being inspired or possessed by God. So I thought that's really interesting, and it was explaining in the etymology that at the beginning it was only used to describe religious fervor and religious passion. But now it's kind of gone over into just anything. You can be enthusiastic about anything. But originally, enthusiastic means possessed by God. Possessed in like the nice way, not like haunted, but inspired or possessed by God. And by God, then you can add for God, because we're enthusiastic. He inspires us and enthuses us for Him. So He inspires us and enthuses us so that we can be enthusiastic for Him, for His pleasure. That's even for our enthusiasm and our devotional service. All depends on Krishna. And so enthusiasm means not affected by circumstances. Sometimes there's something that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, who explains as called Utsahamari, which means false enthusiasm. And that's the kind of enthusiasm that in ISKCON we call shooting star devotees. They appear, they shine, and then they disappear. Short-term enthusiasm, very explosive, but not lasting. So that is Utsahamari, because enthusiasm, like we cited that verse from the Nectar of Devotion, enthusiasm must be combined with patience and faith to work, to be efficient in devotional service. Just enthusiasm, it doesn't last. It needs to be sustained with the patience and the faith that Krishna will respond to my prayers, but in time. So enthusiasm means under all circumstances and over time. And Srila Prabhupada's definition, someone asked him, Prabhupada, what does it mean? What does enthusiasm mean? And Srila Prabhupada said that the definition of enthusiasm is an endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. So the first word he uses is endeavor, which is also interesting. Look up the definition of endeavor. It means serious, determined effort with implications of exertion and difficulty. So it's serious effort. It's a determined effort. Determined means we don't give up before we reach the aspiration. And effort means striving, means swimming upstream, with sometimes exertion, difficulty, because spirituality means going against the flow of materialism, which means swimming against the whole current of the world around us and the inner world of our heart, of how it's been conditioned. So, and as Rupa Goswami explained, these are conditions for the development of devotional service, for the practice of devotional service and the development of the fruit. And so, so like we were saying, the goal of yajna is to please Krishna, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he showed us, like we saw in that extract from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that he's happy to see us chant with enthusiasm, with faith. Not just chanting, but chanting with faith and enthusiasm to some extent, however much we have. And also the yoga in chanting, there's several aspects you can take on this, but one of the things, yoga, if you see like a visual, like the yogas we have for weddings or initiation, for example, you see the fire is in the middle, Vishnu is there, and everything is going towards that. There's so many people that everyone is looking there, everyone is facing that center. The grains are going in there, the ghee is going in there, the mantras are chanted into the fire. There's like this, there's a very visual thing that everything is going towards that, all the individuals are putting into that, and so the chanting yoga is also like that. The name is in the center, and me, my japa, or all the devotees in kirtan or in sankirtan are all putting into the fire of the name. So the yoga and chanting is taking myself out of the picture, out of the center, putting the name in the center, worshipping the name, worshipping Krishna in his name. And that's an austerity to take ourselves out of the center, because we like being in the center. Our false ego likes being in the center, and it's very difficult to take ourselves out of the center. And even in spiritual practices like kirtan, it's still me in the center. It's how's my voice sound? Is everyone having fun? Are they gonna clap at the end and say, oh, that was really great, or things like that? And so it very easily infiltrates our devotional practice. So the austerity of chanting is really trying to put Krishna in the center. And in a sense, in japa, that's, I don't know if I can say easier, but at least there's not the crowd-pleasing aspect in japa. Because it's just me, Krishna, and the mind sometimes. So the austerity, again, for Krishna's pleasure, Krishna wants me to make a connection with him when I'm chanting his name. He wants me to be praying, to be hearing. So if I want to please him, I'll make the effort to concentrate, to hear with attention, to try and have this first-time enthusiasm every time over the years. Because, like for example, if you have a friend and you've just become friends, and so it's really exciting, and they come to your house, and so happy, greet them at the door, invite them in, give, here's a nice drink I made for you, I'm so happy you're here, and you talk, you listen to them, and it's really nice, and then after a few months, and then they're still coming, and then you're like, oh hi, okay, well where the chair is, some water, okay, whatever, nice to see you, oh good, that's great, you're like, not really paying attention anymore. That's what we do to Krishna, because the first time we chant japa, the first time we kirtan, it's so exciting, it's fun, it's new. But after a while, we cut corners, and we cut more and more corners, and we do something else at the same time, or we space out, or whatever it is. But if Krishna's there waiting, and if we really want to make that endeavor, we should try and connect. Be present every day, make the sustained effort. No matter how we're feeling, that's another aspect, because I was recently listening to a class and one devotee asked, how do we know if the fun we're experiencing in kirtan is material or spiritual? It's a very interesting question. Because sometimes kirtan can be very musically pleasing, but it doesn't mean it's spiritual. But we think it's fun, we think it's a nice experience, but it's not necessarily spiritual. And so the answer to that question was that, well, if in kirtan, but this applies to japa, kirtan, sankirtan, everything, if when you feel like it, and you're feeling inspired and enthusiastic, you're chanting with attention, you're hearing with attention, you're dancing, you're listening, you're dynamic. you don't dance and you kind of Hare Krishna, Krishna, not really there, then it was material the whole time. Because when you feel like it, you do it. When you don't feel like it, don't care, can't be bothered, not interested, today, tired, whatever it is. But if when you feel like it, you're enthusiastic, you're attentive, you're dancing, chanting, and when you don't feel like it, you're enthusiastic, you're happy, you're attentive, you're chanting, but then it's spiritual. Because then you've understood that I'm dancing and singing and chanting my japa for the pleasure of Krishna. So that is enthusiasm as well. Enthusiasm means day after day making an effort to be happy because Krishna is happy to see us enthusiastically chanting for his pleasure. And just one personal comment or observation that I was reflecting on this the other day is sometimes I feel like kirtan is sometimes considered like a leisure thing or a fun thing or something you do when you have nothing better to do or it's like playtime for devotees and something not so serious or important. And it's like a fun activity, and particularly the leader, whoever gets to lead the kirtan, it's like, he's in the spotlight, he gets the fun role, everyone's looking at him. But I was just reflecting on this because I'm often asked to lead kirtan over the years, and just from that experience, it's not a fun recreational thing, it's a service and it's an austerity, it's a yajna to lead a kirtan. And to be in a kirtan, but to lead a kirtan also, because there's that whole responsibility that comes with it, that I have to strive to take myself out of the picture. It's not about me, it's not about my voice, it's not about the music, it's not about what people are going to say afterwards, it's not about whether they're having fun, it's my opportunity to make a connection with Krishna. And depending on how much I can connect with Krishna, to that extent, everyone will be benefited. If it remains about me, people have fun, it's musically nice, it has no value. So kirtan is not a recreation. It's like our most serious and important business, and the responsibility we have as a leader and as everyone else participating is to contribute to Krishna appearing in his name if he's pleased. So, I was just thinking about that the other day, that kirtan is a yajna. Harinam, for those who come, you will know it's a yajna. You have to drive there, you have to go there, you have to be focused, you have to not be affected by the material energy that you've just dumped into. And Sankirtan yajna, it's like an effort. But more than an effort, it should be a prayer. Then it becomes, it's not an effort anymore. But when it's a prayer, then it's like, the effort doesn't matter because you want to make that connection. And unless if we don't make that connection in japa every day, in kirtan every day, sankirtan every time we do it, it has no value for the soul. The value for the soul is Krishna is revealing himself in his name. To whatever extent we are not entitled, but to whatever extent Krishna has the grace to reveal himself to, that is what is valuable. And that's what brings the real happiness. And there's this song, where there's just this one phrase, Kevala Ananda Kanda. This process is simply joyful. And actually, if it's a yoga, if it's an austerity, it's only because of me. It's only because of our complexity and conditioning. But this process is actually just joyful, and Krishna is just waiting for us to connect to that joy. And by making the effort, praying for that taste, to chant for Krishna's pleasure, not praying for the taste so that it's easy for me, but praying so that I can please you, Krishna. And actually, even if I don't have taste, I'm still going to make the effort to try and please me. So, there's just a few thoughts, spontaneous thoughts, without much preparation. Not what I can say about this. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and giving me every day the opportunity to be part of Japa Kirtan Sankirtan. Are there any questions or comments or corrections? Okay, super.
Mataji, I've always wondered what some people are excluded, I think, actually from this. That, for example, deaf people. What's your thoughts on deafness? It seems to be a barrier, especially for hearing mantras. What are your reflections on that?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it so much, but it has crossed my mind a few times, and I can just say two things. I went on Padiatra in the UK a couple of times, and both times there was two devotees. I don't know if like one has all faculties and the other one doesn't, if they both don't have, I'm not sure. But they chant with sign language. And I think it's like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And it's like there's a whole sign language. And the whole Padiatra, they were chanting in sign language and making movements with the mouth. I don't know if sound was coming out, I can't hear. I couldn't hear with everyone else. And they had the best time of their life just like everyone else. So that's one thing, because they're still chanting. And they were happy, they were blissful, they were smiling, and some points of the Padiatra, everyone was doing that. That was the choreography. Everyone was sign language chanting Hare Krishna. So I didn't seem like they were excluded from that. And another thing is that, like sometimes we have people who don't understand the language of the class, or even, I think in India some rooms during the classes are like in Bengali or Hindi or something. And Prabhupada doesn't matter, it's the sound vibration. And sound vibration is not just the ears, the whole body feels the sound vibration. And it can go into the heart anywhere. So it's not limited to hearing. I don't want to say too much more because I'll just be making it up probably, but there's a couple of things, and a nice example from those two Vaishnavas who they were just as part of it as everyone else. Yeah, the vibration, like in water for example, if you're underwater you can't hear, but you can feel when there's sound, so it's still affecting. And the soul doesn't depend on the ears to hear, so it's something. Thank you so much.
Kirtan has to be blissful.
Yeah.
Because the way you say it was like I understood your point, but the way you say it was like maybe it has to be boring for us, but pleasing for Krishna. But if it's pleasing to Krishna, automatically be pleasing for us. But it's just about the words, it's not about, because sometimes when I listen to devotees, it's like, oh, it's for Krishna's pleasure. But actually, if we are bored doing it, it means Krishna is not pleased, because when Krishna is pleased, we feel pleased.
Yeah, Buddha means we're not Krishna conscious. Buddha means like the one. Is that a question or a comment?
A comment, but it's no more a comment, and that's, if you agree with it, it's nice.
Well, that kirtan should be blissful, if they're not blissful, it's because they're not pleasing Krishna. That's the point. Yeah, and bliss doesn't mean jumping up and down and rolling on the floor and laughing, and bliss is actually a spiritual emotion, so we use that word very easily, we don't necessarily feel bliss.
It's more inside.
But it's inside thing, and bliss means feeling that connection with Krishna. But generally when that happens, it manifests as very joyful kirtan. So, yeah, but we can't do that bliss artificial, from the outside and just, Hare Krishna, that doesn't mean Krishna's blessed. So it's not that outside you can say that's a blissful kirtan, that's not,
No, but most of the time, it gets out like that.
Yeah, like when Marge sings, generally we're like,
When like for example during Prabhupada's time,
yeah,
like people they would jump. I mean, it's not, as you said, doesn't mean that I jump so I'm peaceful and I don't jump so I'm not peaceful.
yeah,
But most of the time for this, I mean, some movement like at that time was more young, but like when young people are more attracted to revolution, so usually it gets out like that, and it's maybe an indication that of the spiritual well-being of the movement also.
yeah.
But because as you said, it has to be sustainable. If it is sustainable, but that's as you said, like, but make. I mean, we saw. I didn't read Chaitanya Charitamrita or something like that. What I understood, and I don't even think I need to read it for getting confirmation of this point, is that most of the time they will dance like madmen. Doesn't mean that you have to do whatever like no, but they will just become like madmen.
Yeah, it's a manifestation of enthusiasm. Also, if we're enthusiastic, we will like invest and so and it's a subtle topic because it's not external, internal, but yeah, it's interesting point to think about. And generally, a blissful kirtan where Krishna is present, you will see it, like it will manifest, but not necessarily.
What about the Prabhupada? Even the child can be dancing and to start around in the kirtan. What about it? Because they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah, they don't understand.
And Prabhupada, when he starts in New York, everybody dancing, like this and like that. They don't understand.
Yeah, it was like children or don't understand, but the hippies didn't understand. Like we don't really understand what's happening, but because the Hare Krishna mantra is a spiritual sound vibration, it's the soul that's responding to it, and also music and dancing is actually very natural. So that's what Prabhupada says about children, is that you don't have to explain any philosophy to it. It's just very natural to sing and dance with other people. You see, actually, all traditions, that's a very important part. Apart from, I mean, even in more modern society, we still do that in a bit perverted, degraded way, but it's still there. And the mantra is like the soul responds to that no matter what body you're in. So it doesn't depend on philosophy. And actually, Lord Chaitanya's South Indian tour, he didn't speak any philosophy practically apart from the Prakashanam Saranati, some Bhattacharya, some Buddhist. But mainly he was very simple village people who say chant, dance. And because Lord Chaitanya is saying it, immediately they like. So we don't have to understand. Understanding helps to keep going after that initial thinking.
This is what I think when you go to Harinam.
Yeah.
If you hearing the chant, when the devotee chanting, you are in it. I think because the child, they don't read it, and that's in it.
Yeah, you see on Harinam, the children,
They
hear it, or and the parents, they think about it sometimes. Sometimes they do it too, but children is like, they're just amazed, they love it. Because they're hearing it, they're more simple. They're hearing with simplicity, not like, well, that's kind of weird, or thinking about it.
Dancing, I mean, it's more like Prabhupada said, like, for example, if you dance and chant in ecstasy, the whole world will follow you, it will become. So, it means that we also have to dance. We have to dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, dancing. Actually, I don't remember the details, it was a long time ago, but there was I read the job, I think, from Swami Maharaj, and he was citing Prabhupada that chanting is as important as dancing. It's like both. The Sankirtan Yajna, Lord Chaitanya was never sitting, actually, doing kirtan. They're always standing and dancing. Sankirtan and Citra always dancing. It's like both are equally important. That's why it's even sometimes it's a bit weird maybe for us to dance or I don't feel like it, but it's like half the process. It's like really important.
part of the yagya then.
Yeah, exactly. It's a yagya. I don't feel like dancing. It doesn't matter. You dance because, and you see when one dances, two, three, everyone, then everyone's so happy. So.
Sometimes things just Prabhupada instruction basically.
Yeah,
And
dance.
it says chant and dance in ecstasy,
Yeah.
then the whole world will follow
Yeah,
you.
right.
Otherwise, like, wow, what's this guy? You know, they look like they want to die. You know.
Yeah, that's not inspiring. Yeah,
But
it's a good point.
it's interesting what you said. It has to be based on intelligence.
Mm.
For us to become intelligent, we understand after Krishna gives us steady intelligence that okay, I really should do this, not just that. In the beginning, we made it because like, I want to be part of
Yeah, it's fun and new.
friends and be socially accepted or whatever that.
Yeah.
I saw some devotee, like maybe anyway.
Yeah, we can do that at the beginning, but the knowledge and this understanding that at the beginning I dance because it's fun, but actually now we understand that I dance for Krishna's pleasure, and so that's when the intelligence is really. But sometimes you don't have to think about it. Sometimes you don't have to explain to people you have to dance now. It just happens, but it helps us in moments like when maybe the kirtan is not as contagious, then we know for Krishna and that's business. Anyway, thank you. It's nice to have a bit of discussion at the end. It's always interesting. We should stop there. It's 10 after me. Thank you so much. It was a very purifying, inspiring experience. Raja Shiva Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Jai.
Pas la guerre là, parce que sinon, on va partout.